Good evening. Tonight, we delve into a story that has shaken a community to its core and raised urgent questions about aviation safety. On the early morning of May 22, 2025, a tragic event unfolded in the skies over San Diego, California. A Cessna Citation II, a twin-engine business jet, crashed into a residential neighborhood, leaving a scene of devastation and heartbreak. The impact was catastrophic, resulting in multiple fatalities, both on board the aircraft and, tragically, on the ground, as homes and lives were irrevocably altered. The aircraft involved, a Cessna Citation II, was on its final approach to Montgomery-Gibbs Executive Airport when disaster struck. The ensuing crash not only claimed the lives of those aboard, but also ignited fierce fires that spread through the densely populated area, destroying homes and vehicles and sending shockwaves through the Claremont neighborhood. The human cost is still being tallied, as families grieve and a community tries to comprehend the magnitude of this loss. The images from the scene are a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the immense power unleashed when aviation goes wrong. Currently, the official cause of this devastating crash remains under meticulous investigation by both the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board. These agencies are tasked with piecing together the final moments of flight. While a definitive conclusion is still pending, preliminary reports and initial observations at the crash site have begun to suggest a confluence of several contributing factors, a complex web of circumstances that may have led to this tragic outcome. We will explore these potential factors tonight. One of the most significant environmental conditions present at the time of the crash was dense fog. The incident occurred around 3:45 a.m. Reports indicated visibility was severely restricted, perhaps down to half a mile or less. Pilots must rely on instruments and procedural discipline in such conditions. Dense fog obscures visual cues, making landing challenging. Runway lights and terrain can be swallowed by thick fog. Pilots depend on cockpit instruments like the instrument landing system. Transitioning from instrument to visual flight is perilous in fog. Early morning fog in coastal regions like San Diego can be deceptive. Fog can form in patches with varying density. Conditions can deteriorate quickly as the aircraft descends. Pilots must be ready to execute a missed approach if necessary. The NTSB will scrutinize meteorological reports and pilot testimonies. Dense fog is a recurring challenge in aviation incidents. The crash occurred around 3:45 a.m., compounding the difficulties of dense fog and near-total darkness. The absence of natural light impacts depth perception, making foggy conditions even more treacherous. Pilots rely heavily on runway lighting systems, but fog can obscure these aids, leading to misjudgments. The approach to Montgomery-Gibbs Executive Airport over Claremont presents unique visual challenges. At 3:45 a.m., cognitive function is at its lowest, known as the window of circadian low. The investigation will examine the crew's duty and rest schedules to assess fatigue as a factor. Investigators are examining if the Cessna Citation II struck power lines before crashing. Residents reported power outages around the crash time, prompting a closer look at this scenario. Such a collision could have critically impaired the aircraft's controllability. Power lines are hard to see from the air, especially in low visibility. Major lines are marked on charts, but smaller ones might not be. The investigation will map power line infrastructure near the crash. Striking power lines can cause severe damage. The lines can damage wings, control surfaces, or engines. Impact can wrench components or change the aircraft's trajectory. Arcing electricity can ignite fuel vapors or cause system failures. Investigators will look for wire strike evidence on the wreckage. This includes cuts on metal surfaces or wire remnants. They will also inspect power lines for signs of an aircraft strike. Damage location on lines relative to the crash site is crucial evidence. One of the most chilling aspects of the San Diego crash is the reported absence of any distress call from the flight crew in the moments leading up to the disaster. Air traffic control communications logs will be thoroughly reviewed, but early indications suggest that the pilots didn't transmit a mayday or pan-pan call, nor did they report any specific difficulties they were encountering. This silence is often indicative of a sudden, catastrophic event that overwhelmed the crew, leaving them no time to communicate. A distress call is a pilot's primary means of alerting air traffic control and other aircraft to an emergency situation. It signals that the aircraft is in grave and imminent danger and requires immediate assistance. The standard Mayday call is reserved for the most critical situations. The lack of such a call suggests that whatever problem developed, it did so with extreme rapidity, or it immediately incapacitated the crew or the aircraft's communication systems. There are several scenarios that could explain the absence of a distress call. If the aircraft experienced a sudden, severe mechanical failure, such as a dual-engine failure at low altitude or a critical flight control malfunction, the pilot's immediate priority would have been to try and maintain control of the aircraft. In such high workload, time-critical situations, making a radio call can become a secondary concern, especially if the event occurs very close to the ground. Another possibility, linking back to our previous chapter, is an event like a wire strike. The Cessna Citation II's crash ignited its jet fuel, causing a massive fireball and intense fires in the Claremont neighborhood. At least 15 homes and numerous vehicles were destroyed or severely damaged. Jet fuel, a kerosene-based compound, is highly combustible. When an aircraft crashes, fuel tanks rupture, atomizing the fuel. This aerosolized fuel can ignite explosively when exposed to sparks or hot components. The amount of fuel on board will be key for investigators. Even a few hundred gallons can create a devastating inferno. The rapid spread of the fire posed immense challenges for firefighters. The flight path of the ill-fated Cessna Citation II was a long one, originating from Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, a major hub for private and business aviation near New York City. It included a planned stopover in Wichita, Kansas, a city intrinsically linked with aviation manufacturing, including Cessna itself, before continuing on its final leg to Montgomery-Gibbs Executive Airport in San Diego. This transcontinental journey raises questions about crew fatigue, flight planning, and familiarity with the destination airport, all of which will be under careful review. Investigators will meticulously examine the experience and qualifications of the flight crew. This includes their total flight hours, hours in this specific aircraft type, their training records, and their history with instrument flying and operations in low visibility conditions. While experience is not a sole determinant of performance, it provides context for understanding the crew's capabilities and decision-making processes. Their familiarity with the specific approach procedures at Montgomery-Gibbs, especially at night and in fog, will be a critical area of inquiry. The stopover in Wichita would have provided an opportunity for refueling and potentially a crew rest period, depending on the flight scheduling and duty regulations. The NTSB will look into the duration of this stop and the activities undertaken there. Long-haul flights, even with intermediate stops, can contribute to cumulative fatigue if not managed properly. As mentioned earlier, the crash occurred during the window of circadian low, a time when performance can be naturally impaired. The route from Wichita to San Diego would have been flown using a combination of air traffic control guidance and the aircraft's onboard navigation systems. Investigators will analyze the filed flight plan and compare it to the actual track of the aircraft using radar data. Any deviations from the planned route or altitudes, especially as the aircraft neared San Diego, will be noted. The aircraft involved in this tragedy was a Cessna Citation II, Model 550. This line of business jets first entered service in the late 1970s and early 1980s. The age of any airframe necessitates a thorough examination of its maintenance history and overall airworthiness. Aircraft are subject to wear and tear over years of operation. The aviation industry operates under stringent maintenance regulations. These regulations require regular inspections, component overhauls, and replacement of life-limited parts. An older airframe, if properly maintained, can be just as safe as a newer one. Investigators will review all maintenance records for the specific Cessna Citation II involved in the crash. This includes logs of routine inspections, repairs, and airworthiness directives. Preliminary reports have not indicated any obvious pre-impact mechanical failures. An intermittent problem with a navigational instrument or flight control anomaly could have complicated the approach. The wreckage examination will look for physical evidence of any such failures. The Cessna Citation II is powered by two Pratt & Whitney Canada JT-15D turbofan engines. The condition of these engines will be a primary focus. The path to answers. As we've explored tonight, The San Diego plane crash on May 22, 2025, appears to be the result of a tragic convergence of multiple challenging factors. The dense fog, the pre-dawn darkness, the potential for a wire strike, and the inherent complexities of flight operations each played a role in the narrative that investigators are now painstakingly piecing together. The human cost, with lives lost and a community devastated, underscores the profound importance of understanding exactly what went wrong. It is crucial to remember that the investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board and the Federal Aviation Administration is ongoing and will be exceptionally thorough. These investigations are complex and can take many months, sometimes even a year or more, to complete. NTSB investigators are experts in accident reconstruction, human factors, aircraft systems, and meteorology. They will leave no stone unturned in their pursuit of the causal and contributing factors that led to this tragedy, aiming not to assign blame, but to prevent future accidents. More definitive information will undoubtedly become available as authorities continue to analyze the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder. If recovered and viable, along with wreckage analysis, witness statements, air traffic control records, and meteorological data, the final report will provide a comprehensive account of the accident sequence and will likely include safety recommendations aimed at enhancing aviation safety for all. We will continue to follow this story and bring you updates as they become available. For now, our thoughts remain with the families affected by this terrible loss.